The lifeguard froze when the little girl went under, so the spoiled, young millionaire in designer clothes dove in instead. The man in white linen. I admit it, I am prejudiced against the rich. Working at the Oakwood Hills Country Club will do that to you. You become invisible. You become a pair of hands holding a tray, a non-person who exists only to refill iced teas and tolerate complaints about the humidity. So when he walked in at 1:00 p.m. on a scorching Tuesday, I rolled my eyes so hard it hurt. He was a caricature of wealth, late 20s, wearing a pristine white linen suit that probably cost more than my entire year's rent. He had those gold-rimmed sunglasses, slick-back hair, and he was shouting into his iPhone before he even sat down. "Sell it. I don't care about the margins, David. Just liquidate the asset. I want the cash flow by noon." He sat at the best table by the pool, the one reserved for VIPs, and snapped his fingers for service without looking up. "I'm Sarah. I'm 28, a single mom and tired. My 5-year-old daughter, Mia, was sitting in the staff corner of the pool deck, a shaded patch of concrete behind the towel bin where the manager allowed her to read her books quietly until my shift ended. I walked over to the man in the white suit. "Can I get you something, sir?" He didn't look at me, he just pointed at the menu. "Whiskey, neat, top shelf, and don't talk to me, I'm on a call." I walked away fuming. I thought he was the worst kind of human being, spoiled, detached, and useless. I was wrong. I was so wrong. The invisible child. The heat that day was oppressive. It was 98 degrees with 90% humidity. The pool was packed with members, wealthy housewives sipping mimosas, businessmen playing hooky, and kids screaming in the shallow end. Mia was being an angel, she always is. She knows the rules. Don't make noise, don't bother the members, stay in the shade. She had her coloring book and her little water bottle. She looked so small sitting there behind the towel bin. I checked on her every 20 minutes between orders. She gave me a thumbs up. "I'm okay, Mommy," she mouthed. My heart ached. She shouldn't be here. She should be in a summer camp or at a park. But I couldn't afford childcare. This job was our lifeline. We were one missed paycheck away from eviction, and every dollar in tips mattered. The man in the white suit, tab 4, was on his 4th call. He was packing now, walking dangerously close to the pool edge, his expensive Italian loafers clicking on the tile. He seemed oblivious to the chaos around him, wrapped in his bubble of high finance and self-importance. I watched him with disdain. I wished he would trip just a little, just to knock that arrogance down a peg. The golden boy, lifeguard. If there was anyone I disliked more than the man in the white suit, it was Tyler. Tyler was the lifeguard on duty. He was 19 years old, had a tan that came from a bottle, and was the general manager's son. He had gotten the job because his dad ran the place, not because he was qualified. Tyler spent 90% of his shift checking his reflection in his phone or flirting with the college girls near the snack bar. At 1:15 p.m., Tyler was sitting in the high chair, but he wasn't watching the water. He was leaning over the railing, chatting up 2 girls in bikinis. His back was partially turned to the deep end. His red rescue tube was resting against the fence, 5 feet away from his hand. I walked past him with a tray of dirty glasses. "Tyler, eyes on the water, please," I muttered. He rolled his eyes. "Relax, Sarah, I got it covered. Nothing ever happens here." It was the kind of arrogance that comes before a fall. The pool was choppy. Kids were splashing. The noise level was high. It was the perfect storm for a tragedy, and our safety officer was busy trying to get a date for Friday night. The slip. It happened in slow motion. A gust of wind picked up. It blew a beach ball across the deck. It rolled past the towel bin where Mia was sitting. Mia, being 5 and helpful, stood up. She wanted to catch the ball and give it back to the member. She took 3 steps out of her safe zone. She didn't see the puddle of spilled soda on the tiles near the deep end. I was at the bar, punching in an order for the white suit guy. I looked up just in time to see it. Mia's little sneaker hit the puddle. Her feet went out from under her. She didn't just fall, she slid. She slid right under the safety railing and over the edge of the deep end. There was a splash, but it wasn't a big splash. It was a small, quiet plop that was instantly swallowed by the noise of the pool. "MIA," I screamed. The sound tore out of my throat so hard I tasted blood. I dropped the tray. Glasses shattered. Ice flew everywhere. I started running, but I was 40 feet away. I was wearing slippery waitress shoes. The ground was covered in glass. "The freeze." I looked at the high chair. "Tyler, help her." Tyler turned around slowly. He looked confused. He looked at me, then at the broken glass, then at the water. He froze. You hear about the fight or flight response, but nobody talks about the freeze. Tyler stared at the ripples where Mia had vanished. His mouth opened, but he didn't move. He didn't blow his whistle. He didn't dive. He just sat there, paralyzed by the sudden realization that he was responsible for a life and he had no idea what to do. Mia didn't surface. She didn't know how to swim. She had hit her head on the side on the way down. I was scrambling over the broken glass, cutting my knees, screaming her name. But the water was still. The other members were just turning their heads, confused by the noise, not realizing a child was dying 3 feet away from them. I knew, with the sickening clarity of a mother, that I wasn't going to make it. The distance was too great. The blur of linen. I was 10 feet away when the air shifted. I felt a rush of wind pass me. It wasn't a breeze, it was a body. The man in the white linen suit, the spoiled guy, the crypto bro, had launched himself from table 4. He didn't hesitate. He didn't take off his jacket. He didn't stop to take off his $800 loafers or check his vintage Rolex. He didn't even drop his phone on the table. He just gripped it tight. He hit the water in a perfect flat dive. Crash. He entered the water right where Mia had gone down. The white suit billowed out like a cloud under the surface. I reached the edge of the pool and fell to my knees, sobbing, staring into the chlorine blue. For 3 seconds there was nothing, just bubbles. Then a white sleeve broke the surface, then a head of slick-back hair. He gasped for air. In his left arm he had Mia. She was limp. The aftermath. He swam to the stairs. He didn't wait for help. He hauled himself out of the pool, water pouring off his expensive suit in gallons. He laid Mia gently on the concrete. "Turn her over," he commanded. His voice wasn't the voice of a spoiled brat anymore. It was the voice of a commander. He turned her on her side and patted her back firmly. Mia coughed. She vomited water. And then the most beautiful sound in the world, a loud, terrified wail. "Mommy!" I scrambled forward and pulled her into my arms. I was shaking so hard my teeth rattled. I buried my face in her wet hair, sobbing uncontrollably. The man in the white suit sat back on his heels. He wiped the water from his eyes. His suit was ruined, stained with chlorine, transparent, clinging to him. His phone was still in his hand, dead. His watch was dripping. He looked at me. "Is she okay?" he asked. His voice was gentle. "Yes," I choked out. "Yes, you saved her. Oh my God, you saved her." The audacity. The moment of relief was shattered by a whistle. Tyler, the lifeguard, had finally climbed down from his tower. He walked over to us looking flushed and defensive. He saw the crowd gathering. He saw his father, the general manager, running out of the clubhouse. Tyler decided to go on the offensive to save his own skin. "Hey," Tyler shouted, pointing a finger at the man in the white suit. "What do you think you're doing?" The man looked up, water dripping from his nose. "Excuse me." "Rule number 4, Tyler yelled, pointing to the sign. "No swimming in street clothes, that's a health code violation. And you," he turned to me, "Sarah, I told you to keep that kid under control. She's a liability. You're lucky I don't have you fired right now." I couldn't believe it. I was too in shock to speak. But the man in the white suit stood up. As he rose, the water heavy in his clothes, he seemed to grow 3 inches. He didn't look ridiculous in his wet suit anymore. He looked dangerous. "You're worried about the dress code?" the man asked quietly. "Yeah, I am," Tyler puffed out his chest. "I'm the head lifeguard. You just contaminated the pool. You need to leave, now, before I call security." The black card. The general manager, Mr. Henderson, arrived puffing and panting. "What is going on here? Sarah, why is there glass everywhere?" "Tyler." "This guy jumped in the pool in a suit, Dad," Tyler whined. "And Sarah's kid fell in because she wasn't watching her." The man in the white suit reached into his soaking wet jacket pocket. He struggled for a second, then pulled out a slim, soggy leather wallet. He extracted a single card. It wasn't a credit card. It was a heavy, black metal ID card with a gold chip. He didn't hand it to Tyler. He held it up for the general manager to see. "Mr. Henderson," the man said, "my name is Julian Thorne." Mr. Henderson's face went the color of milk. He stopped breathing. "Thorne," Henderson whispered, "as in Thorne Hospitality Group." "The very same," Julian said. He dropped the black card onto a nearby table with a heavy clink. "My company finalized the acquisition of this country club chain at 9:00 a.m. this morning. I was on the phone with my legal team dealing with the wire transfer when I arrived." Julian stepped closer to Tyler. "I came here incognito to see how my new asset was being managed. And in the last hour, I have seen a waitress work harder than your entire management team, a safety hazard on the tiles that was ignored, and a lifeguard who froze when a child was dying." Tyler's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "The house cleaning." I didn't know," Tyler stammered. "It doesn't matter who I am," Julian said, his voice cold as ice. "It matters who she is." He pointed to Mia. "That is a human life, and you were looking at girls." Julian turned to Mr. Henderson. "Get him off my property, now. He is fired. And you," he looked at the GM. "We will be having a very long discussion about nepotism and safety protocols in your office in 10 minutes. If you want to keep your pension, I suggest you have the incident logs ready." Tyler was escorted off the deck by the actual security guards. He looked small. He looked defeated. Julian turned to me. The anger vanished from his face instantly. "Sarah," he said softly. "I'm sorry about your suit," I whispered, still holding Mia. "And your phone." Julian looked down at his ruined clothes. He laughed. It was a dry, genuine sound. "It was an ugly suit anyway. My sister bought it for me. She said I needed to look more relaxed. I think I prefer a wetsuit." He reached out and touched Mia's shoulder. "Take her to the ER just to be safe. Dry drowning is a real thing. Send the bill to me." "I can't afford." "You're not paying for it," Julian interrupted. "And take the week off, paid. When you come back, report to the front desk. We need a new floor manager, someone who actually pays attention." The true meaning of class. That was 6 months ago. Today, Oakwood Hills is different. The staff are respected. The safety protocols are rigorous. I'm the floor manager now. I have health insurance for the first time in my life. Julian Thorne comes in sometimes to swim laps. He wears regular swim trunks and cheap goggles. He doesn't look like a billionaire. He just looks like a guy. We realized later that the angry phone call I judged him for. He was actually yelling at his broker to sell off a failing asset so he could keep the staff employed during the acquisition. He was fighting for us before he even knew us. I learned a lesson that day that I will teach Mia when she gets older. We live in a world that is obsessed with appearances. We judge the crypto bro in the suit. We judge the single mom in the uniform. But water is the great equalizer. When you go under, nobody cares about your net worth. They only care about who jumps in. True class isn't about the linen you wear or the car you drive. It's about what you do when the splashing stops and the silence begins. It's about being willing to ruin the suit.